Awesome. Cool. Thanks, everyone, for attending. This is really meant to be a kickoff meeting to kind of reboot the Chicago Node.js Meetup. It's been a few years since there's actually been any real activity in the group. I think when COVID hit, things really kind of slowed down and kind of struggled to really maintain as a lot of meetups inevitably did. Just housekeeping. Probably not a huge deal with so few people, but there's only so much that we can do on audio editing when we're over Zoom. So just kindly request folks stay muted unless they have things they want to talk about, and also just in general be kind. There's a lot of work to reboot a meetup, and so hopefully everyone is just appreciative of all the volunteers that are trying to work and get things going. So. We do have some links that we're trying to get things going, allowing folks the easiest way possible to connect into the group at large. We do have a Discord that I did set up. In the old days, we'd use Slack, but Slack kind of went a little unfriendly to small groups. They really want you to pay for Slack. So Discord, until we find out Discord doesn't do what we want. We do have chicagonodejs.com. It has a very rudimentary site up. That was thrown up just to kind of let folks pop to it. I did register Chicago Node on YouTube. There is Chicago Node.js, but again, I don't have the credentials for that account. And so if someone who does have the credentials happens to see this, please reach out. If you know the person that has the credentials, please have them reach out. We'd love to reuse the same YouTube channel if possible, because there are some videos posted. I did create a BlueSky account as well. It's a little more tech-friendly than Twitter/X is nowadays. More Node folks in particular are on BlueSky. Happy to make a Twitter if folks think that's worthwhile as well. And then I did register chicagonode@gmail.com if folks are happy to use email to reach out to us. So any of those venues are a great way to reach out to any of the organizers if you are interested in speaking, hosting, or even just want to say hi and see what we're all about. So we have a brand new team. As I kind of alluded before, this meetup is actually quite old, but unfortunately, no one has really been actively maintaining it over the years. And so myself and a few others have stepped up to try to revive this meetup as co-organizers, and really give an opportunity to have a Node.js focused meetup alive and well here in Chicago. So my name is Joe Doyle. I was co-organizer of SF Node in San Francisco for about 7 years. I did not start that meetup, but I did volunteer to help run it. So I do have that experience running meetups, in particular running meetups about Node. So I thought, I'd love to see something very similar here in the Chicago area. So that's why I volunteered to help run. By day, I am head of engineering at a digital manufacturing company called Fictive, where I manage about 65 devs in the US and in India. I used to be a back-end developer myself using Node, but again, being promoted into management, I don't get too much time on the keyboard anymore creating fun applications like I used to. One of the other organizers is on the call. Brian, would you like to unmute and introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Joe. My name is Brian Peranto. I live here in Chicago and work at a company called Atomic Object. I've been a developer for about 15 years now, working in both front end and back end using Node.js as a front end tooling mechanism, and as well as building backends on things like Express and SJS as well. I'm excited this group has come back to life. I joined at the end of 2019 as a co-organizer and just was never able to get anything going. So it's good to see Joe come on board and help get things rolling again.
Awesome. We have another person who volunteered to be a co-organizer. They're not on the call right now, Frank Murphy. Hopefully they do want to be an organizer, because we'll definitely use the help. But in addition, generally what we found was kind of a great size of organizers for something like this. Is anywhere from 5 to 6 folks at any given time, because inevitably folks will cycle in and out. So if you are interested in joining us as a co-organizer, please reach out. We're kind of early days, and the most valuable thing that we really could use right now is networking. Having people who know other people, helping us get speakers, helping us get venues. When we start getting actual in-person meetups, it's always great to have a handful of folks kind of divvying up some of the jobs, making sure that the meetup itself runs smoothly. So if you're interested, please reach out to us, Discord, email, however you'd like to. We'd love to have more folks be involved. So next up, I just want to make sure that everyone's kind of aware of what the meetup focus is. We obviously are interested in talking about Node.js, creating applications with Node.js, what is on the mind of Node.js developers. All of those things are obviously really important parts of what we're hoping to grow a community around. But the world has changed since I ran just a Node meetup, because we now have things like Dino and Bun. And there's also other folks doing cool things with JavaScript that have nothing to do with the browser. I really want to promote this group to be JavaScript on the back end. I'd love to call it the Node.js Dino Bun meetup. Doesn't quite roll off the tongue. So for the most part, I'm planning on just continuing to call it the Chicago Node.js meetup. But I want to make sure that our community at large is aware that really I want to focus on anything that's JavaScript not in the browser. There's lots of cool things from Dino and Bun, as we talked about, kind of revolutionizing what a JavaScript runtime can look like, as well as even things for embedded, having JavaScript run on Arduino and other little microcontrollers. And so any of those type of topics, I think, can often be interesting with the group at large. I also want to make sure that we're welcoming to transpiled languages and other server frameworks, not just things that are core Node. So TypeScript is kind of front and center for almost everybody, as it's really kind of sweeping the industry. But also if folks are interested in learning about things like ORMs, other web frameworks, GraphQL frameworks, right? There's so many topics that surround backend JavaScript that I really want to make sure we have a broad enough reach for things that that folks might want to talk about, as well as things that folks might want to learn about. So not just Node, but really the Node-esque ecosystem that revolves around JavaScript, TypeScript, and all the cool things folks are doing on the back end. I also wanted to share the meeting format. One of the things that I've been doing to try to drum up support for the meetup is I've gone to a couple meetups local in the area. The timing happened to be right. And amazingly, one of the questions that was asked most to me was, well, what's the format? What is this thing going to look like? This is a format that we used out in San Francisco. It's the format that the Chicago JavaScript meetup also uses. And so it's kind of a tried and true venue format that really lets two talks kind of be presented and really gives enough time for community. So like a lot of things, starting off with a welcome and introduction. Hopefully we'll have companies that want to host us. Usually those companies will have some form of agenda in wanting to host us. Either they're hiring, they want to sell the product to us, something along those lines. But also one of the things that we found really valuable was helping to foster that community of events. And so also have a calendar of events in the area, ranging from the Code and Coffee that I was at just this last weekend, Chicago JavaScript. There's a few other meetups that might be technology adjacent that folks are running. And so kind of a welcome to our group and welcome to the community at large. From there, pretty standard two talks, 30 to 45 minutes each. For the most part, folks will have slides. Folks may do live demos, things along those lines. The actual format of the talk, pretty loose with, right? If folks want to demo or live code, they're more than happy to. If folks want to talk to slides, depending on how complicated the thing is, that also might be easier as well. One of the things that I really love to wrap up with is what we call the 15 seconds of fame. A lot of folks are looking for a job. Some folks are looking to hire. Some folks are working on cool projects. So what this is really an opportunity before we wrap up and kind of end the meetup proper, is an opportunity for folks to come up and introduce themselves and say one of these things like, hey, I'm looking for a job. This is what I do. If you have any leads, please let me know. Things along those lines. And it's really kind of helped foster that community experience. We've also had folks that have talked about a project, and some of those projects even became relatively well known. And so we want to promote open source, promote this idea of folks building for the community and giving time for folks to kind of introduce their project to the group at large. Finally, of course, kind of a wrap up and a thanks to the sponsors. So a pretty standard format that I think most folks would be familiar with. from the old days when we had meetups in person. Our goal is in-person meetings. I really want to try to avoid doing lots of online meetings. I know there is a little bit of irony in that we are all in a Zoom room and I'm saying no Zoom meetings, but this is the first one. I'm calling it an exception. I really want to get that in-person experience back. From attending the meetups in the last couple weeks, a lot of other people do too as well. So I'm really hoping that we'll be able to get this momentum going, have folks meet in person, get to chat, say hi to each other, get off of some of the Zoom meetings if folks are working remote, and really get to meet one another. I am planning on recording all of our meetups. I've got a camera, I've got microphones, I've got everything that we need to record relatively good quality video and post it onto YouTube. And so my plan is to offer that. Also, we'll have a camera, so we'll be able to take pictures. Everyone's got a phone. So I really want to kind of make sure folks can see what this looks like as well. And the reality is not everyone can attend every meetup every month. And so, we want to keep folks in tune by recording these and posting them on the YouTube so that folks can enjoy them, even if they're not available at the specific date. So now some of the fun, a call for speakers. We would love for you to give a talk. Do you have something that you built that you think is cool? Is it something that is innovative? Some of the best talks we've had are folks that are brand new developers talking about a side project they did, their first project at work they did, and the struggles and learnings that they had. Really, there is a pretty wide range of topics that make for great talks. But one of the most important things is that you don't have to be a speaker already to give it a go speaking at a meetup. This is a great opportunity to practice your public speaking, something that many engineers could always use a little bit more time practicing in front of a live studio audience. And so I definitely want to put a call out for folks that might be interested in speaking. I'm sure between at least Brian and myself, we would happily curate your talk. If you're like, hey, I think I'd love to talk about this thing, but I'm not sure if it's interesting for the group, reach out, let us know. I'm sure we'll be more than happy to kind of help guide you, fill out your talk, maybe things to stay away from, things to focus on. We're here to really help you, especially if you're an early first-time speaker, because some folks, it's just not natural for them. So we want to kind of help you out and make sure that you feel comfortable giving a talk. If you're a seasoned pro, just as good. We'd love to hear from you as well. So call for speakers, please reach out. We'd love to get a pipeline of folks willing to speak over the next couple months as we try to start to build up our calendar for the spring. On the converse side, call for venues. Fortunately, we have a really great JavaScript community in the Chicagoland area. Meeting up with the Chicago JavaScript Meetup group, I met with their organizer, and she has very graciously forwarded a handful of venues that have hosted them in the past and would probably be very amenable to hosting us as well. But I want to reach out to the community at large. Do you have a company that hosts meetups? For the most part, many of the meetups have been in downtown Chicago, in the Loop, kind of in that area. But it sounds like we're open to kind of near suburbs maybe as well. So if you or someone you know has a company that would be open to hosting a Node.js meetup, we would love to hear from you. If you're someone at that company, it's a great chance to advertise your company to local JavaScript developers. Maybe you're hiring, maybe you have a product that you want to sell to them. We are very open for that. So our goal is also really to be hosted by a variety of companies. Sometimes meetups will find the one home, and they're always in that one location all the time, right up until that company says, we don't want you anymore, and then the meeting goes homeless and sometimes dies. So one of the goals that I'm hoping to do is, if nothing else, at least get a set of venues that we can rotate through and host so that we're not beholden to a single venue and run into trouble if that venue decides they're no longer hosting meetups or anything along those lines. So again, if you would love to host us, please reach out. We would love to talk to you. If you're unsure if your venue is kind of the best spot for a meetup, still reach out. We'd love to talk to you and see what you have and what we could do to kind of accommodate you and make sure that your venue is a great spot for a meetup. That's most of the housekeeping. now is kind of the stuff that really is, important, right? Do we need a new logo? I don't know who created this logo. I don't know how old this logo is. I don't know if the creator of the logo would be angry at us still using the logo. Maybe they would, maybe they won't. I do want to put it out there. If folks have an opinion on the logo, I work with a whole bunch of designers that I'm sure would be happy to design a logo. I'm sure you folks know people that would love to design a logo for a meetup. We probably don't have a budget, at least unless someone wants to volunteer money for paying a designer for a logo. But I definitely want to throw it out there. It's not that this logo is terrible. This logo is the old meetup, I'd like to say. And we probably would use a great refresh for a more us logo. So if folks have connections or ideas on what maybe our logo should be, again, please reach out. I'll probably ping some of my designer friends. I'm sure you guys have designer friends. Love to ping them, see if they'd love to design a new logo for our meetup. That would be fantastic. Next up is meetup.com cleanup. The great part of having a meetup that's been around for 12 years is you get a lot of members. The bad part of having a meetup that died and try to revive it is none of those members are active. I actually pulled some stats to show like who has been. Meetup is actually great. They have a stat in their export. When was the last time the person visited your meetup page? 426 of our folks haven't been there in 10 years. 1,966 haven't been there for over 7 years. And the vast majority of our group hasn't been to the meetup page in 5 years. A little worse, a little better, I don't know. 1,200 people in our group have never said they're going to come to one of our events. So we got a little bit of cleanup. I wanted to announce this to the group just because I'm a fan of transparency when it comes to this. This is a volunteer group. This is not a dictatorship. I want to try to have things flow that is best for the group. So I just wanted to put it out there. My plan is to kick out anybody that has at least 7 years of inactivity. Given that we've posted, there's been discussions, we're having our first event, these stats were taken as of like 3 hours ago. So it's not like there's somebody who's been kicking around for 7 years and finally decided to come back. Like, nope, these folks, even up to 3 hours ago, they're not active. So my plan is to go through and scrub out anybody has 7 years plus of inactivity, just to make sure some of our numbers more properly reflect what the actual group looks like. After we do that, if we find out the 1,000 people that are still there they don't have any value, we'll talk about cleaning them up as well. But I just wanted to kind of make that announcement just so that we have a truer sense of how active our community is versus 3,200 people that are never coming back. So that is everything that I had to kind of go through for today. I want to thank everyone that attended our kickoff meeting. We're looking to get started with our in-person events as soon as we can. Be sure to follow us on any of the platforms you see here, including our meetup.com page. Thanks from the Chicago Node.js team, and hope to see you all soon.